Welcome, everyone, one and all. This is the 21st episode of the Unbanned podcast, and this week we have one thing to say. Unbanned Underworld Breach. It's not banned yet. I think we might have done this card again before, but you know what? It was such a breakout at PT Phoenix that I don't think there's really another card we can do this week.
Yeah, let's put emphasis on yet.
Yet. My name's Jake, and with me are my two best buds in the whole world. We've got Jordan.
I am Jordan.
And Justin.
I couldn't think of anything. Hey, it's me.
Quick, be funny. Be funnier.
Knock, knock. Who's there? A Nugan. I don't
Just.
know. It's Tron matchup. I'll work on this joke. And we are here. Jordan and I are back from Magic Fest Phoenix. And we're going to talk about some Magic. So this week we had PT Phoenix, Magic Fest Phoenix, if you're scrubs like us and didn't qualify. And coming up, we have the World Championship this weekend. Yeah, if you're doing Valentine's Day things, maybe take a break. Watch some World Championship.
You gotta snuggle up with your sweetheart and watch Javier Dominguez carry us to victory.
Yeah, I want those rewards for Javier winning.
Yeah, we all picked Javier for our
Why did we
champion.
all pick Javier? We should have spread the love a little bit.
Because it's obvious.
It's the easy choice. He's on a tear.
He's
Jordan,
very talented.
If I play a jank deck and you play Storm, are you going to tell me that people should vote for me to win just because they didn't vote for the better deck?
It depends on which deck you're playing. You know, there are some jank decks that could have a very good
Hedron
matchup
alignment.
against Storm.
Hedron alignment has a great matchup against Storm. It only
You're
takes,
playing blue, you can interact.
It only takes 11 turns to do anything.
Hedron alignment has a fantastic matchup against Storm if Storm draws 11 straight lands.
I'm glad we agree on the clock of Hedron alignment.
All I can say about this matchup is that we need to play this on stream. We need to demonstrate it and show that Hedron alignment has a good Storm matchup.
You buy me the deck, I'll do it.
Here's the rules. I'm building Hedron alignment, and Justin's building Storm.
I think Storm would actually lose that matchup,
You can play Storm. It's not that hard.
he says. And then I'll be like, Gifts Ungiven, get Steam Vents, Scalding Tarn, Island Mountain.
You can't try to lose. You know that's not how you gifts.
He's
Come
not
on.
trying to lose. He needs a land drop to go off.
If you can cast gifts, you don't need a land. What the hell are you talking about?
I
Stuck
need that
on two.
one land.
All right.
You're not playing Crucible on your deck. You can't play the lands from the graveyard, damn it.
Crucible and
need
3
it.
lands is the gifts pile.
Just throw Crucible in there.
Give me 2 lands or a
Surprise.
land of Crucible.
Oh, that reminds me. I need to go buy some Factor Fiction. From our sponsor... no, we don't have a sponsor.
If you'd like to sponsor us, please contact me at Unbannedcast on Twitter. DM. They're open.
And
Slide
Jordan
into 'em.
will get his Factor Fictions from our sponsor, my pile of bulk that he keeps asking me to get cards from.
Yeah, where's all your bulk?
It's sitting right next to me. I'm looking at it right now. It's just not good bulk.
After Phoenix, I've decided I'm going to buy into Grixis Urza because I want another modern deck to play, and that one seems good now that they've banned the broken pieces. I only get into decks after they're good.
Yeah, it's funny how you always get into broken decks after they get banned.
It's funny how you say the broken pieces are banned even though Urza is still unbanned.
And Astrolabe, which just always fixes your mana forever.
I have an Astrolabe right here. You can hear me flick it. That's an Astrolabe.
I got one from a Modern Horizons pack this week.
You want to hear another cool thing?
What?
That was an Astrolabe ripping in half.
What the hell? Why would you do that?
We need 2 more. How dare you?
Hold on. I got 2 more.
No, don't rip them.
There they are. Also, Factor Fiction was under it. That's perfect.
Check if you check his Twitter, you gotta like post pictures of this for proof.
Seriously.
Because otherwise,
I'll do
you
it
could have
right
just
now.
been ripping basic lands.
I'll do it right now.
Oh, Jordan, don't worry. They're 39 cents. Now, if it was a foil
I know they're cheap,
Astrolabe...
but I just need them. Okay, so should we stop bouncing between topics and move on to the Players Tour and the Pioneer Weekend?
We could.
And we are, because I said so. And I pay the only bill around here, so I'll be the one calling the shots.
Oh, by the way, guys, if you want to check Twitter real quick.
Oh my god.
Did he actually post it?
I think he really did it.
Wait, did Justin post something on Twitter?
Hashtag watch it now, hashtag podcast. You should have tagged it hashtag MTG, hashtag no regrets, hashtag YOLO, hashtag. You need more hashtags.
I can.
That's basically what I'm saying.
Hashtag no Ray Gertz.
No Ray Gertz.
I will do that while you begin the next. I'm going to delete this one.
You can't edit it. You'd have to repost it.
I know, I'm deleting it.
No,
don't.
I'm trying to
delete it.
retweet
It's
it.
beautiful.
No, I'm deleting it and getting it right.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, you move on to the next subject. I will. Oh my God, Jason Zucker just got traded to the Pittsburgh Penguins.
What is this episode?
We have interrupted this episode of the Unbanned podcast for
Alex
Justin's Hockey
Galchenyuk
Hour.
went to the Minnesota Wild with a first. This is amazing.
This is, of course, Justin's Hockey Hour.
Sorry, it was on top of Twitter.
Did you know that Justin is originally from New York and he likes
I'm
hockey?
from Central New York. Shout out to Seth
But
from MTG Goldfish, who is also from Central New York.
but have you
And
ever
Wedge from the Manosaurus, who is also from Central New York.
but have you ever been to the top of the Empire State Building?
Man, I'd like to jump off it every time I get asked.
Moving on.
It's just one quick thing before that, other than Jason Zucker. I was super scared after I ripped that I just ripped a $2 bill in half or something.
Oh yeah, no, it's only 35 cents.
And then you said it was 39 cents, and I'm like, oh.
I think
Okay.
they used to be worth more, but then certain things got banned.
All right, okay, we're good then. Let's continue.
All right, so if you've been living under a rock and you weren't listening to us, or you didn't check Twitch this weekend, you might have missed the Players Tour and PT Phoenix. Jordan and I did terrible. We'll save you the time on that. Don't look up our results or our decks.
I could talk about my deck and how I was so close to greatness.
How do you look up people's decks?
You go to our Patreon.
I mean, I didn't post mine because by the time I realized what I was playing, I had realized that it wasn't worth playing and I had wasted my money, so I didn't post it. In order to hopefully not dupe anyone who may have decided to, contribute.
Sure.
That
Did you
day.
owe one drop?
I didn't owe one drop. I ended up not playing the list that I chose in the event. Instead, I played Is It Phoenix? Because I want to play a fun deck that loses if I'm going to play a deck that loses.
Before that, did you play 3 last chance qualifiers?
I played 3 last chance qualifiers. I made it past round 1 in the first one.
And the PTQ.
And the PTQ. I ended up playing the PTQ, right? How much Magic did I play?
You played 3 last chance qualifiers, the PTQ and the GP. You played the last chance qualifiers and the PTQ with Lotus combo.
Yeah, it was the Twiddlestorm version of Lotus Combo, which, if you watch the coverage, Underworld Breach Lotus Combo was the kind of the breakout deck of the tournament because Dimir Inverter was last weekend. The version they were playing was playing Sylvan Scrying and Cyclers and much better cards than what I had. I could have got that other version, and I did not. So that's on me. I probably should have been playing that version to begin with because, honestly, I love Storm, and a lot of people who really love Storm have been playing that deck for months in Pioneer and said it was actually pretty good. So that's my bad.
Oops.
I was on Golgari Stompy because I thought that Mono Black Aggro was going to be the reaction to these combo decks, and I thought that Golgari Stompy was Mono Black Aggro, but bigger, and I was actually 100% right. In pretty much every single Mono Black Aggro matchup, I won. In pretty much every single Dimir Inverter matchup, I also won. I never played against Lotus. I found out the problem with Golgari Stompy and the reason why people don't play it is because you lose to all the random bad decks that no one wants to play. I lost to, like, just Big Red, which has not really been a great performer over the past 2 weekends, but somehow I lost to it. I lost to a random Bant Hydra's list, which I just had no tools to disrupt or play around. I just had to hope that I killed them first. So I found out that sometimes it's good to not play the linear beatdown strategy.
Yeah, I think we both learned a lesson about deck selection, which is if you're not like a world-class player, you don't have to necessarily steal someone else's list. But if everyone else is playing good decks, just play those good decks if you want to win. If you want to have fun, though, build your own stuff.
Here's the thing. I got straight debated because I wanted to play the best Thoughtseize list. So I was looking over mid-range lists, I was looking over Sultai, I was looking over everything with Thoughtseize, and I'm like, okay, Mono Black does not seem good enough. And I was 100% right. Mono Black
was 13% win percentage.
Was not good enough. Store. So I figured going bigger was the correct way. But then Joel Larson in PT Brussels discovered it's not. You need to go more mid-rangey. I wanted to go faster with bigger creatures. They went control-y and mid-rangey, and it's beautiful, and I love their list.
I'm actually glad about that result, because Mono Black got housed. All the aggressive decks, except for like 2, didn't do very well, which I like, because I like aggro, but this format has been getting faster and faster, and now we have a couple of big decks that are playing a little bit slower. And I think that's good. And I mean, now if you want to play a green-black mid-range deck in Pioneer, not Frontier, then you have that now, which is really cool. I agree. That's awesome.
Justin, what deck would you have played if you went?
We talked about this last episode, didn't we?
Yeah, but now you have hindsight. Would it have changed?
I don't really know. I just want to play my deck, but if we're looking at are we looking at the Grand Prix or the PT? Sorry.
Whichever one. Just right one. Which deck calls to you?
I just like my decks. Actually, a deck that I've been thinking about trying to build is a Pioneer Bogles deck now that it shows that you can make it in Standard.
I don't know about Bogles, but there was the SRAM Auras list that plays pretty well in... What was it, Nagoya? Or was it Brussels? I'm looking.
I'm not completely sure.
Someone played Jund Delirium with Croxa.
That's pretty cool.
Treacherous Blessing, Corvold. Oh, that's sick.
I think the main reason to not play that is because the mana is kind of bad.
Yeah, no, this is not good. Don't play this. But, ooh. If they ever give you a good land base for this, and if you just remove Croxa from it, I think this is actually quite good. Oh, wait, no, that's great. Your Delirium gets turned on by Croxa entering because they're a creature, and then if your opponent discards some... it's kind of like how you use Thoughtseize in Modern to turn on Tarmogoyf. I like this. I might play this later.
Well, doesn't Delirium only care about your graveyard?
Yes, you're right. Yeah, you're right. It's only your graveyard. But, still, creature in the yard.
I mean, Thoughtseize puts a sorcery in there. You're on your way.
Does Legendary not count? I just want to make sure. Does Legendary count?
Legendary does not count.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was getting that right.
It's not a subtype, whatever it is.
It's a super type.
Yeah, it's a weird. Sorry, I'm so confused by this Jund Delirium list. It's by Faraz. Not gonna try to pronounce your last name, but it starts with an A. This list has no Grimflayer in it, and I get that because Grimflayer is kind of a junky 2-drop, but if you're gonna play Grimflayer, this feels like the list to do it. All right, moving on.
Grimflayer is also not in the Sultai Delirium deck that top-aided the Players Tour.
That's because you actually have better things to do there, like Jace.
Brain Maggot?
Yeah, I guess. Brain Maggot's fine. It works. It's a 2-for-1 most of the time.
Hold on, wait. No, there's no Jace in this deck.
In the Sultai Delirium?
No, there is. I see it. Sorry, it's hidden in the middle. It's hidden in the middle, my bad.
Yeah, Seder Wayfinder and Skoos are basically your actual 2-drops. Jace is like your secondary 2-drop that also is kind of like a win con. But yeah, these lists are great. Oro is way too expensive now, so that's fun.
Uro is a card that shouldn't have ever existed.
No, I think it's fine.
So can I just get my small rant out of the way? So, before I do this, I want to say, Thoughtseize is not a problem. It does not need to be banned. I now completely understand why people hated Theros Standard, like OG Theros. There's a large subset of people who just didn't like Standard while Thoughtseize was in it. And it is because nothing is more disheartening than playing 4 matches of Magic and having them all start with turn 1 or turn 2 Thoughtseize. Just knowing that you're going to start your hand with the worst card, the best card getting taken from it.
Yeah, I think that's the worst part about it, is that you kind of have to sit back and go, so every game, if I have a good hand, I start with 6 cards in my hand, and they're not the best that I had in my hand.
Yeah, it's you have to look at your hand every single game and say, do I have a redundant threat? Because my first one's not going to survive. It's going to get Thoughtseized before I get the chance to play it. And that feeling is so irritating to me. Or in the case of my control deck, I'm like, do I have multiple cantrips? Because if I only have one, they're just going to take the one cantrip, and then I'm out. Like, I don't mind Thoughtseize. It was miserable this weekend when I was playing against it match after match after match.
I can get that.
I hate Thoughtseize. I can't believe they let it be legal in Pioneer. It's stupid.
Yeah, you should ban it. Also, this is my petition to print good stuff into the 3 colors besides... Actually, no, don't give greeny, don't give black any. Yeah,
So
white,
Jeskai.
red, and blue. Yeah, Jeskai colors. Get one set where they get all the good cards.
And I want to start my petition to change the card we unban and ban this episode to Thoughtseize.
Well, you should have started that about an hour ago.
Yeah, I mean, I could have swapped, but whatever. All right, you know what? Fine. This week we're unbanning Thoughtseize. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that everything you wanted?
Underworld
Democracy.
Breach is now unbanned forever.
Oh, that's frustrating.
Yeah, don't ban it. Don't ban Underworld
One of
Breach.
the Sunday PTQ was won by my deck, but it's the version I said was bad.
That's a big serving of humble pie there, friend.
Good job, Hunter Bolding. I still think Sirach Hunt Caller's a bad card.
I don't know why you think that.
Well, Sirach, what was the name again?
Hunt Caller.
The Hunt
Sirach
Caller.
Hunt Caller thinks you're a bad player.
Yeah. Whatever.
Wait, it was the... So, hold up. Are we actually going to break down these lists?
We're not going to break down all of them. Not even close.
Okay, are we going to go over should we go over the top 8s then?
Yeah, we can go over the top 8s. What do you want to start with?
Which top 8?
You mean the PT or the GP?
If we want to be fun here, I'd say the PT, since there's not 3 different decks.
We're not going to read all of them either. Just, read the names.
I guess we should just start with the winner and the kind of the biggest deck in the format. I don't know. I think Dimir Inverter's bigger, right?
Dimir Inverter is the second biggest deck in the format, if I'm right.
I think it was more played than Lotus Breach.
It was, but it's not the high. Oh no, it's the highest meta share now. It's 16%.
Per MTG Goldfish. So yeah, Corey Burkhart took down the tournament with Dimir Inverter. If you are looking at the list, it's pretty standard as far as the Dimir Inverter lists go. I think one of the biggest things was Omen of the Sea. A lot of the Inverter lists started running this card, and it's very, very good.
The other adaptation that we saw from last weekend to Phoenix was Ipnu Revealet, which was...
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, that is so smart. So basically, you wait for your opponent to invert, and then you use your Ipnu Revealet to mill them for, which puts their Thassa back into the graveyard. Their Thassa's Oracle back into the graveyard, and then they lose.
Yep. And you can also use it on yourself to, if you don't have just a few cards being inverted back in your deck, you can mill yourself and maybe, get them out of the way if you have like a Thassa's Oracle in hand.
Yeah, it's a very solid card.
The lines of play with this deck are so cool, and I'm going to be so sad if it actually gets banned.
I really don't think we're to that point yet, and I am 100% tired of hearing about people talk about bans in this format. Let it breathe.
Well, just to kind of ask the question, what do you think gets banned, Inverter or Oracle?
Dig Through Time.
Yeah, dig.
That too.
The reason why Inverter works is because you can exile your graveyard to put exactly what you want back into your deck and also get cards off of it.
Yeah, if you played a 30-minute game with this deck and had a 40-card deck, it'd be much hard. A 40-card deck after inverting would be so much harder to play the game. But the fact that you have 4 digs, you just dig away all of your stuff and you're drawing cards for it, so you're not even losing anything. There's other delve things that they could do if they did ban dig, so it wouldn't actually kill the deck, I don't think. But it would definitely
you could just play
make
Gurmag.
it less powerful.
Yeah, and Treasure Cruise is still in the format, so that's an option. So if they hit dig, they might just hit Treasure Cruise as well, which will probably just straight up kill Izzet Phoenix in this format.
But like I said, I'm going out on this. Everyone who goes to everyone who goes to tournaments and they are sitting there and they play a PTQ against the brand new deck that just came out last weekend, and you talk about banning the cards, stop it. Just stop. You will be so much happier if you leave that tournament and go, how can I beat that? Than rather, when will they ban it? Just trust me. I heard so many people angry over this weekend.
That definitely makes sense, but I hate to throw the B word around then. But seriously, why is every card with Delve even legal? It's a really not fair mechanic.
Delve is kind of undercosted all the time. That is fair. I like discussing whether or not they're going to ban it. I don't think either of these decks deserve to be banned. I don't think they're too powerful.
Can we all just breathe happily for a second, though, that they didn't print a counter spell with Delve?
Yeah, I'm kind of glad about that. Yeah, it would be a little bit irritating. Wait, hold up. I think there is one.
Not a good one.
A card that is like counterspell, but with Delve attached to it. Just a literal counterspell.
Let's see.
Well, that's what Treasure Cruise
Logic Knot. Jeez.
Yeah, Logic.
Yeah, there's Logic Knot.
Oh,
that
it's
wasn't
terrible.
Printed.
It's
The
so
Logic Knot's not
terrible.
terrible.
It's just, a staple in Modern. It's awful.
That's what I mean by terrible.
Also, I think dig is what they hit from this. I saw some people complaining about Thassa's Oracle, and I'm like, you look at Ad Nauseam, and you think that the Lab Maniacs, the card that's doing work in that deck, it's only called Ad Nauseam for a reason.
It's to keep you away from the Lab Men.
Lab Man and Thassa's Oracle in those type of decks, at least in Ad Nauseam, are only one of, I think, 2 or 3 win cons they can play. I think Thassa's Oracle is kind of crazy they printed it. I like the card, though. I think it's fine.
I love that we have a Lab Maniac effect. I don't want it to ever leave.
Yeah, I like the spiciness.
Yeah, I think it's awesome that I could play a self-mill deck and win with this with Tamiyo if I wanted to. Or Jace, Wielder of Mysteries as well.
I do think the issue with the card, though, is that there's not enough play. Like, your play is Stifle or Thoughtseize. Like, Laboratory Maniac would actually be a more reasonable card.
I'll be honest, though. Thassa's Oracle, really fun to play fair.
Oh,
and by
yeah.
fair, I mean, like, how it was intended.
Definitely.
It's a really fun card to play as intended.
I would posit that there's no intended way to play a card. It's however you decide to play it. Anyway, I think we've talked enough about Dimir Inverter. Maybe we should talk about the number 2.
The big breakout deck of the weekend was, of course, Lotus Breach. So number 1 was Corey Burkhart, took down the trophy, and then second place was William Huey Jensen on Lotus Breach, and his list is pretty standard as far as I've seen. I think this is pretty much the exact list that LSV and a lot of the, I think it's the Pantheon, isn't it, their team? Played basically all of this.
Yeah, I think the 2 innovations that they brought to the list from last weekend would be the 4 Fae of Wishes, and then also just running a Mystical Dispute in the main. I think those are like the main things. I like the fact that they didn't mess with the numbers of Arboreal Grazer or Viziers or Hidden Strings or any of that. It's just all 4-ofs, get that main deck consistency going. And yeah, this is a really good list, and I wish I had just bought it and played it. I wish I had just gone with this. But then again, I don't think I could have designed the list as well as they did, so I probably still wouldn't have done as well.
Yeah, this is...
It's a wacky list for sure.
This is like...
It's weird to look at.
Absolutely beautiful deck building, and I want to know who built it originally.
If I had to guess, I would say Matt Nass probably worked on it a lot. Yeah. He's very good at playing combo decks.
I would pay so much money to just see inside the brain of a good deck builder.
I'm not affiliated with Caster at all, but you know, like Caster and Croaky's like two big streamers who are also pro players and are very, very, very good. They do brewing streams all the time.
But like just watching the thoughts, you know what I mean? Like yeah. I get like you can see a person go, oh, this would be good, and then everybody else collectively chiming in on it. But I just want to see that explosion of, oh my god, this card. Like, oh my god, pour over the pages. Of course, that uncommon from Shadows over Innistrad. That's the answer.
To be fair to the people who came before, Channel Fireball, their team did not actually create this deck. They just tuned it and added Underworld Breach. This deck in this exact form has been around since Pioneer began. All the Storm players who were interested in the format have been playing this deck. And that's why I was kicking myself for not just registering it. Oh, also, there was one other thing I want to point out with this deck, is that a lot of the decks are playing Thassa's Oracle as your way to win the game. They are playing Expansion Explosion to just dome your opponent. Because basically, once you get the wheels going, you just make so much mana that you can just dome your opponent for lethal. And it's actually a lot more consistent than Thassa's Oracle. What's the next interesting deck we should go to, guys?
We could just talk about the next deck real quick. Mono red, mono red be mono red.
I think the most interesting thing is the move away from chonky red to more aggressive red, more Torbrand and like Soulscar Mage, Swift Spears,
Rimrock Knight.
Yeah, the Rimrock Knight I think is interesting because like no one was playing this derpy common until like a week ago, right? And it is actually really fantastic.
I love how both of you ignore Zergo Bellstriker. Zergo Bellstriker standard. That's been around.
Yeah, he's a 2-power, 1-mana creature, so of course. The card I just realized has not been getting played nearly enough in Pioneer, in my opinion, is 3 of in the sideboard Eidolon of the Great Revel.
Yeah, Eidolon is one of the things I think is going to be key fighting against the Storm decks going forward, the Lotus Breach decks. Because if you main deck Eidolon, they just can't go off with it on the field.
I love Eidolon.
I'm also of the opinion that the Abbots in this list should probably just be Eidolon, but that could be wrong.
Yeah, put the Abbot sideboard and then bring in the Eidolons in the main board.
The thing is, that does help you grind, but it's just a worse 2-drop, right?
I don't think so. So say you're on turn 3 and you drop Abbot, right? It doesn't do anything the first turn. So if you hit a shock or, like a Rimrock Knight off the top, then you can easily get your value off of that.
I guess it does hurt you as well, but I feel like the more these mono-red aggro players tune their decks, the more they move towards like just straight burn, and I can't help but feel like that's just where you want to be.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that sentiment. I think it's going to become more burn heavy. I think the fact you can play 8 copies of Shock in this format is kind of relevant. I noticed this version of the deck is actually running 5. It is running a Shock and then 4 Wild Slash. So people are finally catching on that, hey, you can just run 8 copies of Shock if you like.
I love how much the words can't be prevented can add the value to a card. Where you can buy 30-cent Shock or you can buy $4 Wild Slash.
Wild Slash is not worth the $4, by the way. Unless you need to have 5 copies of Shock in your deck like this, don't waste your money on it. That line of text is so not worth it. Especially since you have Bone Crusher Giant in the deck that does the same thing, but you don't need a 4-power creature on the battlefield to make it work.
Also, there's not really anything that prevents damage except, like, Is there anything like maybe God's Willing, but that's not in any of the decks really?
It's stuff like Fogs, God's Willing does. If you're up against mono white, you can push through damage. The only thing about God's Willing, though, is that you can really only get away with like swinging in, they give protection in response, and then you play your thing to make them still take damage, because you can't target with protection.
Fair enough, yeah. But like that's exactly my point.
Yeah, the other relevant one is there are Fogs, and there are some Turbo Fog lists, but the Turbo Fog lists are really bad against like Inverter and the Breach decks and Bant Spirits, so they're just mostly bad, so you don't see them that often.
I just don't understand why Wild Slash is $4 per card.
Because people think that it's worth running Overshock. That's the only reason, I think.
I mean, it technically is. It's just not, 10 times worth more?
Yeah.
If people can find an advantage in Magic, they'll take it. It doesn't matter if it only comes up one every 1,000 games. It's worth paying an extra $15 to most people to play Wild Slash. And I agree with the mentality, to be honest. It's just like,
Look,
I'm not going to buy Wild Slash for a while.
I agree with it too. Like, why play Prophetic Prism when you can play Astrolabe? Granted, that's a little bit different. They're not exactly the same, but...
I mean, one of these is an insanely broken card. The other one's just good value.
Is Astrolabe. Alright, on to the next deck.
Yeah, we probably should power through these a little bit quicker, because we still gotta talk about Worlds, right?
Yeah, like I said, we're not going to go over all these decks, especially since the next deck is Sultai Delirium. The next deck is Bant Spirits, Azorius Control, and then it's Dimir Inverter, Lotus Breach, and it's kind of just more of the same going down from there. Bant Spirits, we don't really have to explain. It's Bant Spirits. If you've seen the modern deck, it's that, but remove the modern cards.
Except for Coco, which is Coco and then Selfless Spirit. And some of these are actually played between both decks. So it's like if you've got a Spirits list, you only had to buy like maybe 4, 8 cards at most to be able to play this.
I would say the only difference this plays Nebelgast Herald.
It's so weird to see that card show up because it's not amazing.
And this eagle that I can't pronounce the first word, Empyrean?
Empyrean. Just pronounce it like
geez,
Empyrean.
Okay, I see it now. Yeah, and Empyrean Eagle. I don't know if that's played in Modern, but I doubt it.
It's not, because you have Droxkull Captain, which is just better.
Yeah, exactly. So those two cards are the only thing that are different between the Modern and the Pioneer versions. And
it's a good deck. It's competitive. I played a game against it, and I got my WinCon caught by a Spell Queller, which gave me some flashbacks to Eldritch Moon Standard when Bant Company was the thing to play.
Oh man, so many Bant Company. So many.
And then on to Blue-White Control, since that's the only deck we haven't touched on at all. I mean,
it's Blue-White Control. Yeah.
It's Control.
Yeah.
I do like the Sun's Nemesis, the Elspeth Sun's Nemesis in the Planeswalker slot, because that's a slot now.
I haven't really paid attention or played Blue-White in Pioneer, so I don't know what's standard for the deck, but Azorius Charm is an interesting card. It's a nice toolbox card.
Yeah, it's pretty standard for the deck. It's basically your best removal outside of Supreme Verdict.
And then I also like the one of in main board and one of sideboard Soul Guide Lantern. I've said a lot that this is a very underrated card in Draft, and I've been starting to play it in just standard decks in general. I think it's a really good card. I don't know if other people are on it as much as I am, but Soul Guide Lantern.
It's a really nice stand-in for a Relic of Progenitus in this format.
I wish I put that in my top 10, honestly. And plus, it's not like Relic, because you can just sacrifice your opponent's graveyard, not yours.
It definitely has some benefits over Relic, but I was just saying, like, it's the Relic of this format. It's like, we're probably not going to get a Relic of Progenitus reprint.
If anything, it'd be in a core set, but that's beside the point. It's just, it might be too good of a sideboard card.
Maybe. And also, we'd have to go back to Alara then, right? Because that's where Progenitus is.
Well, that's why I said, like, a core set.
Yeah.
Or a Modern Masters set.
Or Pioneer Masters. Pioneer Masters win.
Nudge, nudge. Well, it's not Pioneer.
No, Pioneer Masters. for Relic of Progenitus. Jake, do you want to talk about Sultai Delirium? Because you're probably going to be playing this deck within a couple of weeks.
I'm probably going to be playing it tomorrow on stream.
On stream?
This
I
deck
mean, like the paper version.
is... Oh, no, I'm probably not playing the paper version for a while. I don't have the money for this deck. To give you some context, Oro is currently $110 for 4. Because, yeah, good card.
And this deck runs 4 of him.
Anyway, this deck is right up my alley, though. It's Sultai Delirium. It's a mid-range deck. You just grind out. That's your whole game plan. You control the game, grind out slowly, get your advantage, and then kill your opponent. There's some starts where you can just get like a quick Oro on turn 4 with you turn 2 a Satyr Wayfinder, turn 3 an Oro, turn 4, bring back the Oro again and beat down from with a 6/6. But if you don't do that, you have every tool in the entire game to grind out against your opponent. Fatal Push, Thoughtseize, pretty standard. This entire list is very similar to the one that Joel Larson won with. I think pretty much everyone is kind of aping his build because he won a Pro Tour with it, Players Tour.
We're never going to get used to that. We're going to call it the Pro Tour forever.
We'll get it eventually.
Yeah, you guys have been confusing me because you keep saying Pro Tour, and I'm like, oh, the Players Tour.
Yeah,
got it.
We're trying. We're trying really hard. Weird things about this list. There's one Leyline of the Void, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, Leylines normally come in playsets because you want to be sure to get them in your opening hand.
Not this one. This one's definitely meant to be cast, and then you just sometimes get it for free.
So I guess you Thoughtseize and just kind of interact with your opponent if they're playing either of the combo decks, and then you drop the Leyline on turn 4.
Well, this deck was very obviously built not to stop something like Sultai Dredge, but to stop something like Lotus Breach, which is a bad name for that because there's Underworld Breach, but there's also Through the Breach in Modern. But Lotus Breach decks, because it has 3 Unmoored Eco in sideboard along with it, you would just use those to slow down the Lotus decks and the Inverter decks to the point where your Leyline with Void would actually be quick enough.
Yeah, I mean, seems like a good strategy. I'm not that big of a fan of green black mid-range, but if you enjoy it, that deck is there. Also, the one of Grizzly Salvage in the main deck, which I love Grizzly Salvage. It's a cool card.
Yeah, it's basically a Satyr Wayfinder without a body, but it goes 1 card deeper, which is nice.
You're essentially running 5 copies of Satyr Wayfinder.
Yeah, and I'm wondering what the response to these type of decks will be. Will it be more Leylines? Because it seems like your entire deck is kind of built around this Delirium mechanic and Oro. If you're not able to do that, you're still able to grind out, obviously, but it's going to be much harder.
Do you think that people would play more Leylines in this deck to counter the 2 combo decks? I'm just going to refer to Dimir Inverter as a combo deck because it basically is. It's a control combo deck, but it's a combo deck.
Well, Leyline of the Void isn't great against Inverter. I get the feeling that we'll see more graveyard shenanigans going forward.
I mean, Underworld Breach definitely enables that too, going forward. So that pretty much wraps it up for the PT. Should we talk about some spice from the GP top 8?
Oh, I got spice for ya. And it's definitely not one of the 5 Dimir Inverter decks in the top 8.
Yeah, definitely not.
No.
It's in the Spirits aggro deck that finished 3rd/4th. Do you guys see something weird in that sideboard?
I see 4 Crawl Harpooner. That's kind of odd. I see you're talking about the Permeating Mass.
There's 2 Permeating Mass in the sideboard of this deck.
And what is the Permeating Mass there for, Justin? Tell us what it is.
I don't know. I love it, though. Permeating Mass is my favorite card I've ever drafted in Eldritch Moon. It is 1 green for 1/3 creature spirit that says whenever it deals damage to a creature, that creature becomes a copy of Permeating Mass.
Would you like me to tell you what Permeating Mass is for?
Just the lulz, I hope?
It's just for its ability. You just play it against any ground creatures.
Well, of course.
It gets really big with your lords, so it often doesn't die to things like red removal, and then their creatures are just turning into 1/3s while yours are getting bigger.
I love it, though. It just puts such a smile on my face.
That is pretty cool.
It also effectively just removes an Oro until they have a way to sack it.
That's true.
Also, every single person who's listening to this lost all faith in me as a deck builder when they heard me say my favorite card to draft.
I mean, you gotta take that rare, right? And you always rare draft.
No, I don't. I did pass the Spirit of the Hunt, and I got forced it, actually, so I did draft it, but it was the 15th card of the pack.
Spirit of the Hunt was so bad. I want to talk about the Brazen Borrowers in this list, because this is something that is interesting with Collected Company. Brazen Borrower allows you to play a card that is kind of useful in this list where you just get a bounce and on-land permanent, but it counts as a creature when it's in your deck, so Coco will hit it, so you don't whiff on your Cocos. That's fantastic. I really want to see Collected Company in tandem with adventure creatures more.
I have to say this. If you whiff on your Cocos and only hit a Brazen Borrow, I'm sorry.
Look, I've seen way worse Cocos. I've seen Cocos that have only hit lands before.
I hit a Coco. So one of the dangers of sideboarding with a Collected Company deck is you bring in too many non-creatures because you're trying to bring in 4 Fatal Push to fight against the red deck you're playing against. I was on like 5 life at the GP, and I went for the Coco to try to stabilize, and I hit 2 Great Henge, 2 Fatal Push, and like 2 lands or something like that.
Well, that's your fault.
That's an oof. That's a big oof.
Yeah, and then I kind of feel like I should have maybe not played the Great Henge.
I really like the Great Henge in a green Stompy deck. It's just when you hit it with Coco, it's so rough. Speaking of Coco sideboards, this one runs Archangel Avacyn, Deputy of Detention, Crawl Harpooner, the Permeate Mass, and those are like its only Coco cards that it can hit from the sideboard. Also has Mystical Disputes and Saddler Wreckage.
So you can't hit Av.
Oh yeah, I guess you can't. Never mind, she costs too much. But she is a sweet include anyway, because you can use her to wrath the board with the Selfless Spirits, which is something that happened to me way too often in Eldritch Moon Standard.
Oh, we should quickly mention this deck is Kyle Henriksen. Should probably mention that.
Yeah, since we're talking about it so much, should probably mention who played it.
Since Steven Peters decided not to put Permeating Mass in his sideboard.
How dare you, Steven. Alright, we should probably move on to the only other subject we have, the World Championship. It's this weekend, guys.
I am so shocked by that. I was on Twitter, like tweeting about the event and, checking out what people are doing at Phoenix, I should say. And I saw other people tweeting about getting ready for Worlds. And I just stopped and went, wait, are we getting a Players Tour and then a Players Tour and then Worlds? This 3 weeks of Magic is huge. I didn't realize it was so close together.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I don't know where I'm going to have time to watch all of this.
Yeah, I'm going to have a hard time watching it as well.
Yeah, I'm still not caught up on the Pro Tours, the Players Tours. I didn't watch them yet.
What is Standard like?
Standard right now is kind of rotating between 3 different decks. We got Temur, that's Temur Reclamation, which got some pretty sweet gains from the most recent set. And then we have Blue-White Control, which is running Dream Trawler from the new set, which is also very powerful. And then there's Blue-Green Ramp.
I never realized how annoying Dream Trawler is until I had to play against one.
Dream Trawler is an obnoxious card sometimes.
My lord, I was about to throw my mouse through my monitor. It's so annoying.
You over here just straight snubbing mono red aggro?
So I didn't list mono red aggro in the big 3. It is still a thing. It is a deck you can play. It's kind of... So if you play... It's like if you play against blue-white, you're going to lose. And if you play against blue-green, you're going to lose. But you're good against Reclamation.
This 17% meta share is disagreeing with you.
From MTG Goldfish?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't agree that it's good. Because the other... So we can break it down if you like. Because I haven't played Mono Red since the set came out. But... So if you're up against Azorius, they have things like Dream Trawler and Absorb to gain them life and keep them in the game, which is a little bit worrying. Temur, they just die because they just don't have a lot of early game interaction a lot of the time. And then if you're up against Ramp, then Uro and their life gain kind of shuts the door on you and gives them enough time to just outscale you.
I mean, that's if everything goes right for the control and Temur players and the ramp players. The thing is that's really hurting you with Azorius is not Dream Trawler. Dream Trawler's quite late for a mono red deck. The thing that kills you is the Birth of Militus.
Oh yeah, the one that makes it 0/4.
It gets them a land, so they're consistently casting spells. It makes them a free 0/4 and gains them 2 life.
Yeah,
it's a lot of value to just stop aggro.
Well, and they also have Absorb
and Shatter the Sky. They actually have a good board wipe for once.
And Banishing Light is a sweet card. I think the best way to actually kill the blue-white decks is to just go over them. You need to do something that's more powerful than a late game Dream Trawler, I guess.
You know what I think is interesting?
Because they're going to slow you down and play it.
This one, it was first from SCG Open in Philadelphia by Zach Allen, I think is who played this. Yeah, Zach Allen. It's running 12 enchantments, but they're not playing any Thirst for Meaning. And I think that's right, but it feels weird, right?
Yeah, I have no clue, actually. I'm not even going to pretend to know whether that's correct or not. I don't think that you'd necessarily need card advantage spells. I think most people are playing Gadwick, which Gadwick just is so much better than a Thirst for Meaning.
And that's the thing is this deck has no Gadwicks in it. It's just the Dream Trawler. I actually really like this list. I might go try it.
Really? I really like Gadwick in the list. I think he's fantastic.
I think Gadwick's good. Maybe I'll try to fit him in, but this one by Zach Allen's really clean. Just 3 Dream Trawlers, 4 Teferis, 3 Narsets, some counter spells. The full 4 Shatter the Sky, which also seems good. I've seen people doing like Time Wipe and Shatter the Sky splits and maybe more Time Wipe. I just think you want to do 4 Shatters.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that your opponent drawing off of it can be relevant. And Time Wipe bringing something back to your hand can also be really relevant. See, I don't know enough about Standard. I've been playing too much Pioneer. I just know the kind of the big decks right now. And the thing I wanted to bring up as well was how they're going to be drafting at Worlds, which I think is really funny.
Oh, that they're drafting in paper and then converting it to Arena?
Yeah, so I guess the pod draft feature isn't ready on Arena yet, so that's how they're doing it, is they have to draft in paper and then they're going to import the decks to Arena to play. And I just stopped and went, this is silly. I don't understand how this happens, I guess, is just where I'm at.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, Arena really should be further along from where it is. Or just maybe do paper drafts. Maybe the problem is not that the feature wasn't ready, but it's too hard to actually televise the pod draft. I don't know. I'd really like to know what's going on behind the scenes over there.
Me too. I also just want pod drafting. I will do so many streams of drafts once we have pod drafting.
Same.
Yeah, I might actually enjoy it.
Alright, I think that's about all we have to say for Worlds, right guys?
I'd say so.
Wish I knew more about everything going into it. I kind of hope there's like a crazy deck that someone brings and wins it.
Hope so too. And whoever it is, good luck to them.
Yeah.
Good luck to everyone. All 16 of them. 16, right?
But mostly Javier Dominguez because we chose him.
I mean, it'd be cool, but...
It would be cool.
I honestly really hope Autumn takes it.
Yeah?
Yeah, they're great.
I'd be excited for... There's a lot of people in this tournament that I like. It's so many different faces that I haven't seen up at the top of professional Magic before. It's really, really cool. That being said, I still chose Javier because I want to see him take it down twice.
Would he be the second person to win Worlds 2 times in a row?
Yeah, he would. After Shahar Shenhar. Then he'd have to do it 3 times so he could beat Shahar.
He has to.
Yeah, he has to.
The next year. The biggest Magic Worlds ever. We got the finals. Javier Dominguez going for his 3rd in a row. Shahar Shenhar facing off against him. I don't want to lose that record. They go all out. Put each other through the table.
That would be so freaking cool.
Are you guys... I kind of like zoned out for 1 second and you guys are talking about everyone just like attacking each other.
No, we're talking about Javier Dominguez and Shahar Shenhar fighting for Worlds next year, so that Shahar Shenhar will still have the tie of the record for most Worlds in a row.
Javier is up on the top rope. He's jumping off. Shahar's not moving.
Oh, and he goes through the underworld breach. It's horrible.
He goes through the table. They call that move the Underworld Breach.
Okay, goofballs.
And Slaying Mantis, 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Did you see a Slaying Mantis reprint in Unsanctioned?
I did not, but that's cool.
Did you see any of the cards from Unsanctioned?
No, we'll talk about them next week. Screw it.
All the whatever you call them, like Johnny Combo Player and all those guys got reprinted except Spike.
Oh, why no?
And Richard Garfield. Richard Garfield got reprinted.
That's really cool, actually. I think we've talked enough.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We've been the Unbanned Podcast. If you want to check out our stuff, Justin is dubious_Justin on Twitter, dubious_Challenger on twitch.tv and YouTube. Jordan is It Fox on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, everywhere you want to follow him. He'll be there under Is It Fox. And I'm your host. I'm Jake the Jackal. Just put me into the Google search. I'm there. You can find me. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Twitch. Follow my streams. And we're the Unbanned Podcast. If you like what we're doing here, send us $1. Come hang out with us in our Discord server, limited only to Patreons. And yeah, we'll play some games with you. We'll hang out. That's patreon.com/unbannedcast.
Hey guys, did you see that the standard challenge last week was taken down by Miss Trigger? Miss Trigger, get it?
Ah, I get it.
Okay, let's go.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Paper Tiger. Shout out to Paper Tiger, Rock Lobster, and Scissor Lizards getting reprinted.
Stop talking about Unsanctioned.